first trade of the NBA trade season just went down as Thomas Bryant is going to the Indiana Pacers. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, the Boston Celtics were named as one of the favorites to land Ben Simmons in either trade or buyout. How the hell could that happen? And are the Lakers ready to make a move to get Valanciunas? And could LeBron really be on his way out? We're going to talk about all that and more on today's NBA Central.
Hey.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. We got Big Kev and myself, Hayes, in the building today. Kev, man, we got a couple of things to catch up on, man. Let's start with the newest news that just went down, man, just because it is new. The Indiana Pacers acquired Thomas Bryant from the Miami Heat today to get a backup center. Thomas Bryant is one of those players that still 27 years old. It feels like he's been in the league for forever when it comes down to it. And with James Wiseman, Isaiah Jackson, they both had season-ending Achilles injuries for the Indiana Pacers. They had to go out there and find another backup big. So they get him to back up Miles Turner. He's played 10 games so far this season, averaged 4.1 points, 3.2 rebounds, 42% shooting from the floor, and 35% shooting from three-point range. Keep in mind, they did lose Jalen Smith this past offseason to our Chicago Bulls. How do you feel about the acquisition of Thomas Bryant going to the Indiana Pacers?
Well, first and foremost, the reason why it feels like he's been in the league a lot longer is because he's ugly. That dude got an ugly old face. That's part of it. When you got that 42-year-old face, you like, didn't you get drafted in the 90s? But I mean, it's a move. They gotta put somebody on the bench to come out there and get some minutes. And I'm happy for him that he's still finding work. But he's a super role player. He played 7 minutes in his last game. I'm not expecting him to play more than 15 minutes a night for the Indiana Pacers. They've been struggling a little bit. Maybe he brings a little bit of that nastiness down low that they need because the Indiana Pacers ain't been playing the way they played last season for sure.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. I listen. This is one of those moves where, like, I mean, is he a solid player to play some spot minutes? Yeah, I mean, that's what he's going to be there. Like, the Indiana Pacers got bigger things to figure out, but I mean, they needed some big man depth. They got it. Thomas Bryant could definitely fill that role to a degree and be, not be a net negative out there, but he's not going to do, I think, really anything crazy out there. But hey, there's sometimes those smaller, unexpected acquisitions end up paying off bigger dividends for you. So maybe he can do that for the Indiana Pacers team. We'll see what happens there. So Bill Simmons and odds maker. So it came out a little bit yesterday that the Boston Celtics were named as the favorites to land Ben Simmons in either trade or buyout. Now, Bill Simmons, Celtics fan, says this: could they trade him? I went through every team and I could see it. Here's what I see. I think he has a chance to become one of the most fascinating February buyout guys in a few years because he could be the center in New Orleans. He could be an absolutely crazy Draymond Green backup at Golden State. He could be a really fun Heat culture reclamation project, and he's kind of exactly what the Knicks need. So, listen, it's always funny to hear people kind of talk about Ben Simmons kind of positively because I think like everybody kind of collectively has come to the point that he's been a big disappointment. But I don't know if anybody's going to trade for that contract. But if Ben Simmons is bought out, Kev, do you see teams like the Celtics or the Heat or these other teams getting involved in the Ben Simmons buyout signing?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the dude is still only 28 years old. As far as him being a Heat culture reclamation project, it's like, maybe like they're in flux right now, but at the very least, the man can still pass the ball. He's averaging 6.5 assists, and he can still score. He's shooting 60% from the field. The real problem is that he just doesn't take shots.
Yeah.
Like if he took shots at 60%, bro, like let me see real quick. How many shots is he shooting? He's shooting 4 shots a game. Like if
That's
he went
crazy.
if he went to his best season in the NBA, which was both year 2 and year 3, in both cases he shot 12 shots a game. If you could get Ben Simmons to shoot 8 shots a game at 60%, you're looking at a situation where he's not just a person that's out there. He's very effective. That pushes him to double digits and a possible double per night player. It basically puts him in like Josh Giddey category, right? Like Josh Giddey will give you 13 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. And that's what a team wants to see from Ben Simmons, not just 3 or 4 shots a night making $50 million a year.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing with Ben Simmons is even in taking that, like objectively, he's averaging 5 points, basically 6 rebounds, 6 assists on 60% shooting. Like as a role, as a buyout, like yeah, he can help some teams. I'm not gonna act
Mm-hmm.
like it's impossible for him to help some teams. I just think that you just gotta stop, not look at Ben Simmons as what he once was, and just look at him now as a player that can come in, play a solid role for you. You look at for the Brooklyn Nets this season. They have a positive point differential of +4 when he's on the court. Teams are averaging 4.4 points less per 100 possessions, opposing teams when he's on the court. Also, the Brooklyn Nets rebounding percentage gets better by almost 4% when he's on the court. So I mean, as a buyout for if a team, if you're already a team that is looking to make a run or a near championship team or whatever else, if you're able to add Ben Simmons as a buyout, that's probably like again in the context of what we're talking about, that's probably a pretty good signing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the plus side. He's actually playing basketball this
That's
season.
true.
And he looks like he wants to be out there also. That's another plus side. So who if he ends up being a buyout or if somebody's foolish enough to trade for him,
That's
he's going to come to a team with another fresh start, and it seems like a newfound joy in playing basketball, which makes me think that like a team like Golden State could be good for a Ben Simmons to go into, because you got Heat culture, but you also got Golden State culture. And if
yeah,
he's passing the ball to Steph Curry, like come on, that's the
that's true.
situation. And he be, I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at seeing him go to the Golden State Warriors.
Okay. All right, let's move into the next topic. So we heard coming into the season that the Lakers could be interested in Valanciunas. Now it seems like the talk around this is getting louder and louder. Per Anthony Irvin saying this, according to those I've spoken with knowledge of the situation, Washington and LA have already held preliminary talks about Valanciunas' deal, and the expectation is for those talks to ramp up once he can be traded. The expectation is for the Lakers to offer Gabe Vincent a second round pick in compensation to the Wizards. They may also attach one of their veteran minimum contracts, Christian Wood, Cam Reddish, or Jackson Hayes, in the deal to give themselves one more room under the second tax apron to open up an apron spot. I mean, Gabe Vincent in some seconds.
Yeah.
That's not a bad deal for Valanciunas. What do you think of that, Kev?
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's another one of those guys that's been around forever, but he's
Yeah,
still only 32 years old, so he definitely has something left in the tank. He's giving you double digit points on 13, almost 13 points a game, and he's giving you 8 rebounds. And if he goes to the Lakers, I expect those numbers to go up slightly. Playing off of Anthony Davis and LeBron James, depending on what happens with him, you can see him getting 12, 13 rebounds because that's what they need. They need a big man. And Valanciunas, if nothing else, is nasty. He's going to get down there and hit you with some elbows. He's going to push you around. I like it, man. Like the Lakers haven't had a big man since Dwight Howard. Because let's be frank, Anthony Davis is not a center.
yeah.
That's just the reality of it. They need a true center, a true big man down low to do the dirty work. It wouldn't
And
be
I
a
think
bad move at all.
And I think the thing is that regardless if people view Anthony Davis as a center or not, Anthony Davis is communicating. He would love another center to be in there, and it actually frees Anthony Davis up to do more things. Like one of the key things about Anthony Davis is that he's a player that can switch on anybody. If you're able to have an actual center out there and let Anthony Davis do more of his roaming things, the weak side defense things, those type of things, I actually think it can unlock it. Now, Valanciunas doesn't add a lot defensively himself, but he will free up Anthony Davis and maybe give a little bit more effort on that defensive side and be more versatile there. So I'm not
Well,
mad at this. Go
well,
ahead.
defensive rebounds is a part of defense.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point there. Now, one of the things as well outside of this Valanciunas thing, there's the talk around the Lakers possibly moving LeBron to the Golden State talks. Like I have personally said this, and I'll turn this over to you, Kev. I don't care about anything else. Like I just this seeing Steph and LeBron on the same court as teammates, that would just be fun. Sometimes things just need to be fun in the NBA. That would just be fun to see. Go ahead, Kev.
It would be fun. It would be, but it would also be like it would just be exasperating in message boards on social media, Twitter, like the
Yeah.
world, the NBA world would be set ablaze. If it's already nails in LeBron's legacy's coffin because of what he did going to the Miami Heat, because of what he's done since he's been with the Lakers, that's going to be another nail in his coffin. Like Jordan would never team up with Steph Curry, this, that, and the other. But we all saw it in the Olympics. It's too tantalizing to ignore.
Mhm.
LeBron and Curry look like they belonged together. And we already know that Draymond Green loves him some LeBron James. I hate to say it that way, like it's a
It's true
1970s
though.
song, but it's just the
Yeah.
reality of it. And but it's a couple of problems here. As I say bye to my wife, you have fun, baby. Love you. Looking all fine and stuff. Don't let none of them church dudes get too frisky either. I'll pull up. But anyway, LeBron, he has a no trade clause. So this
Hmm.
will all have to be instigated by him. He would have to go to Jeannie Buss and let her know, like, hey, look, it's time to go. I'm trying to get up out of here. And then it also makes you wonder, like, is he bringing Bronny with him? Like, is Bronny gonna go play for the Golden State Warriors G League team? After that, like, it's too many caveats. I really feel like, and the last thing is, I don't think LeBron wants to be like traded. Like, I know technically he was traded to the Miami Heat when he decided to go there, but he hasn't really been like jettisoned to a different team. He's
Hmm.
always had the leverage and made his own decisions there. So at the end of the day, I don't see LeBron going anywhere. I think he wants to win a legitimate championship as a Laker. He got the Mickey Mouse ring, he got the in-season tournament ring, but he hasn't really won like a grinded out 82 game season, championship as a Laker. And I think that's something that weighs on his mind. I think he really wants to do it. Him and Anthony Davis too. Like, I don't think he wants to leave Anthony Davis high and dry.
Yeah. Now this comes for Brian Windhorst. He says this: the Warriors have dreamed of pairing LeBron and Steph Curry and Draymond since last year. They made an inquiry and it got shut down last February. That was before LeBron played with Steve Kerr and Steph Curry and won the gold medal over the summer. So they will definitely monitor the situation, and I don't think they do anything without knowing this door is locked. But I would just say with LeBron, it's up to him. He has a no trade clause, and he has given no indication he wants the Lakers to do anything but upgrade the roster they've got. Not that he wants to go anywhere. That kind of echoes what you say. Nothing's going to get done on this unless LeBron says, "Hey, let's just get this done. I'm gonna go try to win a ring with Steph." And you know that of course LeBron has earned that right if that's what he wants to do. The question I'm going to throw back to you on this one though, Kev, is that the Lakers, who sit in this position where they got Austin Reeves, they got Connect, they got some young players there. You still got Anthony Davis there. If they were to get back, and I haven't looked at the exact like contract matching, if they were to get back a package built around Kuminga, where do you think that would sit the Lakers as far as in the Western Conference?
They would be trash.
Okay.
Kaminga, I mean, like, as good as Kaminga has been in the minutes that he's been getting, the uptick ever since he snapped publicly about not getting any, no shots.
Mhm.
He's not really efficient. Like, he'll go out there and give you 30 points, but it might take 25 shots to get it. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where going to a Lakers team, it'll immediately turn it into Anthony Davis's team, and he's going to be back in his New Orleans Pelicans situation.
Mhm.
He'll be a decent number two, but not good enough to take them anywhere. That's just the
That's fair.
reality of it. The Lakers, especially in a really tough Western Conference where some teams are underperforming, and then you got the young teams on the come up. Like Houston is what, number 3 in the West right now? Like, nah, the Lakers don't. I
They're
don't
number
see
two
it.
now.
See, number 2 in the West, and they were my dark horse, by the way, in our preseason talks. But in the West, and the East is Orlando. But I feel like LeBron has unfinished business with the Lakers, and I don't see him leaving the team. I don't see him waiving that no trade clause. But if Jeannie Buss is talking to what's his name, the basketball former basketball player who's the GM over there now for Golden State.
Mike Dunleavy.
Yeah, if they talking to Mike Dunleavy, if they sipping on some McClellan, 18, 20-year McClellan and having a conversation, and they sweeten the pot, and it's like, we'll give you this, and some draft picks, because I think the Lakers got their 2029 first round pick and 2031 first round pick. And we know that Steph Curry's not going to play forever. So, like, if the Lakers toss a pick in there, it's crazy to think that LeBron to get traded to Golden State and have to come with picks. Maybe. But it had to be a sweet deal for that to happen, man. But that would be so fun to see LeBron and Steph Curry playing together, bro.
Yeah, and that's just the aspect of it. Like, it just would be fun. Like, that's the only thing. It just would be fun. I don't know how far they go. I wouldn't necessarily pick them to win a title,
Man,
but
the hate would be at an all-time high. The
yeah,
hate,
but sometimes the hate is worth it for fun. Like, neither one is my team, so let them hate. But like for the fun aspect of it, like I just think that. But I just
you want to talk about
so,
ratings? You want to talk about the NBA ratings being down? Boy, please. They'll
yeah.
change the whole TV schedule. They'll start flexing games to make sure LeBron and Steph on
Bro,
TV every night.
flexing, they be bodybuilding at that point, bro, because they gonna try to put every game for the remainder of the season on the damn board, bro. But one thing that we do got to talk about before we end this episode, Tim Bontemps, because there's a lot of talk, the Jimmy Butler trade, Brandon Ingram, all these players that have kind of been in this trade talk. He came out and said that several sources have told ESPN in recent weeks they aren't sure that any players making more than the low 20 million range will be traded this season. Kev, this second tax apron, teams are still trying to find out really how to kind of maneuver around it, because you can't aggregate salaries. You can't do that type of thing if you're in that second tax apron. Earlier this offseason, the Knicks actually manipulated the CBA, which kind of frustrated Adam Silver with increasing the because for those that don't know, in the NBA, the only way that you can renegotiate contracts is if you're increasing money. And it rarely happens, because rarely ever does a team want to go to the table and say, hey, actually, we want to pay you more money in the same contract. They usually want to wait till the contract's up, right? But the Knicks increased the contracts of the vet minimum players that they included in the Karl-Anthony Towns trade to just have it right above the vet minimum, so that way they were allowed to aggregate those salaries. So as teams are still trying to figure out what wrinkles are in the CBA, where they can take advantage of things at, when you hear something like there may not be any players traded that make more than the low $20 million range, Kev, we just saw role players get 30 plus 33, 35 million regularly this offseason. What do you think that could mean for this trade deadline? And do you think that teams just find a way to work around it?
The smart teams will. They'll figure out how to get it done. But it's going to, when I was studying up on this, I'm like, man, like this CBA is crazy. Like, it handcuffs people, and it's almost like people was just too salty about how teams was getting 2 and 3 of the best players. So they're like, oh, we're gonna have to put a stop to this. That was some shady, salty stuff, man. Like, figure out, do better, get them to come to your team. But at the end of the day, it's the reason why there's no movement on Zach LaVine and no movement on Vucević here in Chicago, because Zach LaVine has a $50 million, almost $50 million opt-in clause on his contract. Mm-hmm. So it's just I think I understand it. I feel like that's just the reality that they have to deal with. They're gonna be stuck with, they're gonna be handcuffed to these players until you can start doing different contracts 2 or 3 years down the line. And you're not gonna be doing different contracts because you got a new TV deal that's coming into place next season. So people are going to be making historic money, even more so than, like, the top players are going to be making $70-80 million in some cases. So it's going to be fun to see, though, man. If you can get your eggheads in a room and get them to start writing, algorithms and such, Pythagorean theorems and such out to figure out how to do it, then those teams are going to win championships, like, for real.
Yeah, I think it's going to take, teams are going to have to be, I know we've seen the contracts balloon, and the NBA made it to where, I know typically when the new TV deal, the salary cap rate raises a lot, but they actually flattened out. They changed the rules a little bit to where it's going to increase. There's going to be a nice one, but it's going to be more flattened over time, where you're not seeing that initial just huge increase. But even then, like, teams, this new CBA just makes it to where teams are just going to have to think about every single contract that they give out. And we haven't really seen it yet, but as teams find themselves kind of locked into certain things, I do think that we're going to see kind of a regression to that. But like you said, like, some of the teams that don't care, there's still going to be those teams that look at the second tax and are like, I don't care. If we're winning titles, pay everything.
We still profiting.
Yeah, and that, for that's for what it is what it is there. I think ultimately as well, like, one of the things that we're going to see with this is that, and you tell me how you feel about this, Kev, is that I think that teams are gonna not take as high risk of deals. They're gonna look at the ceiling of it. The floor more than the ceiling. Like teams, for example, Philly went all. Not Philly. Phoenix went all in on that roster. I don't know if Phoenix makes that same that same deal in this CBA. Maybe for one of them, but I don't think they bring in both those players in KD and why am I losing it? Bradley Beal in the same offseason if the CBA was if they were in this current phase of the CBA.
Oh, absolutely. Or and if you take it even further back to contracts that were given to players who didn't, they were giving max contracts out to players. I can't think of their names right now, but it was a dude that was on Houston. He went to Memphis, got a max contract, and only played like 3 games. White boy that was decent, but he never really played for them. I think he do
Oh,
analysis
Chandler
now.
Parsons.
Chandler
Jesus
Parsons.
Christ. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Like these guys were getting max contracts, and it was like, here you go, we got the bread. Now you're gonna further evaluate players like that before you even consider giving out big money to them. Even Fred VanVleet, for the type of money that he got to go to Houston, you're not gonna see that type of stuff. Jeremy Grant, you know, like what? Jeremy Grant went to the Blazers at what, 35 million a year? Like, come on now, you're not gonna see that. Like, especially and it's honestly the teams that are bad, you're not going to see them giving out bad contracts because they're going to have to build somehow, and they're going to want to go get free agents when they build their core. Like, look at the Houston Rockets. If they didn't have to pay Fred VanVleet all this bread, look at the young core that they got. They could go out and get a real superstar to come in and make that unit like mesh for real, and compete for championships. But right now, they got to deal with what they got.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Any last thoughts, Kev, before we get up out of here, brother?
No, man, I'm glad we finally got it in. It was fun. It's a long day going straight over to the Shop Bulls channel to get to the live Bulls content. So it's about to be fun.
Absolutely, man. Make sure you guys are following the channel at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.